I am interviewing Joel Cornah, who is the author of the Sea Stone... What are you the author of?
The Sea Stone Sword.
The Sea Stone Sword.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say when you're saying
it. It is, and my second book is called The Sky Slayer, so again I've got a double S thing going on here.
Yeah, it's bad for people with lisps.
It's my favourite letter in the alphabet.
Tell us a little bit about you and about the book.
Well, I'm a writer, obviously. I currently write for the Science Fiction and Fantasy Network, which is where this interview should appear. My younger brothers had these toys that were dinosaurs, penguins, dragons, etc. And so we grew up telling these stories to each other and inventing this whole world of, you know, magic and adventure and all these really odd events and places. The basic story of the Sea Stone Sword is Rob was brought up with stories of heroes and adventures on the high seas. His mother was a very heroic figure in his world, and so Rob goes out thinking, I'm going to be a hero, I'm going to have these adventures, I'm going to have these legends told about me. And so he goes out thinking, I'll just swing swords at people, punch people in the face, that's what makes you a hero. He starts to realise that all of his supposedly heroic actions may be turning him into more of a villain. I
just read Stephen Moore's X of the North.
Oh yeah.
Which is also coming out from Crystal Link, and that's another story like yours. It sort of dwells on the power of story, and it's interesting to read books that are about stories as well. So was that something that was sort of at the forefront of your mind that you wanted to sort of riff off?
I think I'd been reading a lot of George R. R. Martin, I'd been reading a lot of Karen Miller and Tad Williams as well. I'd been reading, and a lot of their books, like Tad Williams especially, his Otherland series I think was a great influence, because a lot of it is about stories and stories becoming real and how this can not always be as fantastic and amazing as people might want them to be. People have become tired of the 100% good hero who is there to ride in on a shining horse and save the day. I think people... I mean, there's a place for that, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with, characters like, Aragorn, for example, although not 100% perfect, very much falls into this archetype of the shining knight who sweeps in at the end to save the day. I think people also like to be reassured that people are human, that people make mistakes, that even the great figures, great cultural figures, can be humanised.
What's your favourite part of writing, and which bits do you tend to struggle with? Because I know, being dyslexic, my sister is dyslexic and one of my best friends is, and I found that they are very, very driven people who are determined to just do all the things that they were told that they couldn't do. So has that had some impact on your writing?
I think, to an extent it did. I try not to think about it a lot of the time, although, it gets frustrating. I've had writer friends who have told me that they like having written, but they don't like writing. There's bits of that. I think I like having written a first draft. I hate writing the first draft. First draft is always just suffering. I think Douglas Adams has this quote that it's like staring at a blank page until your forehead bleeds. Which is often what it feels like. It used to be. I spent years and years and years, I think it was like 6-7 years, I wrote a weekly newspaper for the Baradons Discussion Forum. It was just a joke newspaper. It was not serious in the slightest. And I just, literally, it was improvisation. It was writing improvisation. And so you just riff off the first idea that came into your head and just go, okay, man eats own staircase was the headline once, and then I just had to write about that. Being dyslexic, it takes me a lot longer to read and write things than a lot of other people, so I got used to the fact that I don't get to redraft. I don't get that chance. Everyone else can write it out and then say, okay, start again and do it better. I didn't get that chance for a lot of my school time, so I learned very early on that my first draft has to be perfect, which was torture.
Right, I'm going to ask you about LGBT characters.
Good.
Because apparently I'm obliged to by some kind of contract.
Well, I asked you, to be fair. in the interview.
I know it's something that comes up every single time you speak to somebody who's written a book that's got LGBT characters in. I had this conversation with Jen Williams. She was saying, "Look, for God's sake, it's 2014 it was then. Why is this still a discussion topic?" So
it's still a discussion
topic. Still a discussion topic.
It's still a discussion topic because a lot of the world still doesn't recognise a lot of people. Unless you're straight white male, then people don't tend to even think about recognising these people as people. And I think it comes down to the less assumptions you can make about the way two characters are going to interact, the better I'll feel. I also wanted to have a lot more freedom with how I treated characters of different genders. If you have a male character and a female character together, I wanted to completely say there's more than one way this can go. This can go in any direction possible, and realising it's a serious social issue that does need addressing, and we need more of it in the world, we need more of it in literature, because the more representation there is, the more normal it's going to be. I want someone to pick up my book in 50, 60 years and to not even blink at the various different genders, the various romantic and sexual orientations within there. I didn't want to write a fantasy version of Queer as Folk, much as I love Queer as Folk. It's all about normalising it, making it. It's not a thing. These are characteristics that any character can have. I think that, and this is the thing about people being able to see themselves in the media they consume. The more you see yourself and people like you in media, the more inspirational it can become. So when people say, when it becomes normal, you can feel more normal. I think that's been a problem for a lot of anyone who's not straight feels that they're abnormal. And I think the more we can normalise it, the better.
Oh, yeah, you write female characters really well, so could you talk us a bit about that?
One of the things, especially in fantasy, that I've noticed is, especially that sort of vaguely medieval style fantasy, is that when you've got a female character, they have to get raped or sexually assaulted in some way, and this seems to be the fate of all female characters, and I for one am quite sick of that. I realise it's a reality of the world, and that you have to kind of there's a place for it being addressed, but I think when it's the only thing that tends to get addressed, it feels like you're saying, well, that's just what happens to women, and I feel like it doesn't have to be. I was very, very intent on Rob having a hero figure, and for that hero figure to be his mother. I think partly because there's a fantasy trope, is his father was a hero. So I thought, no, it's his mother was a hero this time. Also because I already had a story set out for Rob's mother that I was very, very happy with, that she had this piratical history of all these, swashbuckling deeds and things. And I wanted to normalise female heroes and having female heroes for young kids, and not just little girls having female heroes, but little boys having female heroes, because it's something that should be normalised. The fact that it's still very strange in this day and age shows that we still have this very regressive society, and again, you're either part of the problem or you're not part of the problem, and I don't want to be part of the problem.
Okay, last question. What are your plans for your next book?
My next book is called The Sky Slayer. It is about Rob SARDAN escaping from a prison at the South Pole.
Is this the Pengs?
Yes.
Do we get to see the Pengs?
You get to see the Pengs. The Pengish Empire gets a lot of exposition here. And it's all about Rob escaping from this prison with some new friends and discovering some old enemies who are at large. There's a villain named Skagra. She's a pirate who is apparently second in command to the Pirate Lord, but has her own goals and motivations. A lot of it is about trust, a lot of it is about finding new identities. So The Sky Slayer should be out next Easter, hopefully.
Yay!